The conference college football playoff selection show is here, and we're just going to have some live reaction.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson with the AHSA Radio Network. That's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein will be here in just a minute. I thought some Bama fans may want to enjoy, or Bama haters may want to enjoy watching a Bama reaction to this, as I feel at this point Alabama will be left out. I felt good last night. I think we should feel good that Alabama should get in. Letting an SMU team in, it's not criminal because Alabama did this to themselves, or Miami, or USC East, or Ole Miss, or BYU. They all hurt themselves. They all had flaws. But there's no way you can convince me SMU's deserving of this spot. They aren't good enough. They're going to get waxed wherever they go play, and it devalues the whole thing. So we're going to have to go back to drawing board again with expanded playoffs and probably expand some more, and it's just going to stink. I mean, they're ruining college football. They really are. But I digress with all that. This is, I can see USC East getting in, Ole Miss getting in. I could probably make the case for Miami getting in over SMU. At least they played somebody with a pulse in the non-conference. SMU's getting in is a horrible message, and I think that's what's going to happen. In fact, I know that one person has already tweeted out that he's already gotten a confirmation SMU is in. This is from The Athletic, and so probably is what's going to be the situation. What I don't understand is everybody says, well, you shouldn't be in with 3 losses. Clemson's in. Oh, but they won their conference. Yeah, but 2 of their losses were to SEC teams that Alabama played and beat. SMU beat nobody with a pulse. Nobody. Now, they had you're right. They didn't have any losses to unranked teams because they didn't have a lot of opportunities. They didn't have a lot of opportunities to beat ranked teams. They didn't have a lot of opportunities to lose to ranked teams. I'm not trying to. Clemson, Demetrius Duggins, Clemson can't be out. They're 100% in, and they probably will get a bye. Another huge monster, terrible flaw in this system, which is just flat dumb. But I'm not filled with righteous indignation. Alabama hurt themselves here, and so they have no one but themselves to blame. But now that we've come down to the part where you make your selection and you decide to choose the worst of the options available, I think that is a monster screw up. Like, why on earth are you choosing the one team that we know won't be a factor in this? Of all the teams out there, of Alabama, USC East, Ole Miss, even BYU, Miami, SMU is the worst. The worst. So they really don't need to be in this thing, but it sure looks like they're going to be in this thing. So we're going to sit here as they go through the selections just like I did last year. And somebody says the Oklahoma disaster cost us. I couldn't agree more. I'm not denying that the Oklahoma game was awful. I'm not denying that the Vandy game was awful. It was. We probably could have beaten Auburn a little worse in the Iron Bowl. That probably couldn't have hurt. But having said all that, see, SMU didn't have to play anybody that matters. So my suggestion to Greg Byrne, and I've always been on the other side of this. I really have. Like, play as many good teams as you can. But I'm looking around and saying, if you're going to let SMU in, then don't play anybody. If you're going to let Indiana in, don't play anybody. Cancel Florida State, Wisconsin immediately. Cancel Ohio State. Cancel Notre Dame. All these schedules that are coming up. And I saw Nicole Auerbach, who apparently just doesn't like to get into critical thinking. She said, well, I don't understand Alabama and lose to these big teams they're talking about. It's all part of a grand scheme, Nicole. So when you play enough good teams, one of them's going to get you. Maybe 2 or 3 of them are going to get you. But see, when you play a bunch of bunk teams out of 6A, 7A, 5A high school ball, and you're in college, then you have a much better chance to just whistle while you work and you go out there and tear up the league. So that's my biggest problem with this whole thing right now. And, we'll see here in just a second. They are, we got all the talking heads up there right now. And so, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a venue change myself. It's not going to matter, but as Alabama fans know, sometimes when you change venues, when you change a seat in the house, maybe things get a little luckier for you. And since I just got a death stare from the wife that I was being too loud, I will come down to the basement and turn this thing on, and we'll see how we do. And I know all of y'all can, or at least some of y'all, can understand the wife death stare. And, I'm going to go back here. Jerry Laster says Bama should not be in. Tell me why, Jerry. Tell me why they shouldn't be in over these other teams. We aren't debating if Bama is national championship worthy. I personally don't think they are either. We're debating should they get in a 12 spot in a 12-team playoff that has several teams that are undeserving. That's what we're debating. David Cochran says Bama not getting in, bro. David, I don't know if you just got here, but it's so frustrating to have to repeat some of this. I know Bama's not getting in. I believe they aren't getting in. I believe they made that call. I believe it's the wrong call. I would have accepted if you had told me it's Florida State or Ole Miss or even Miami. I go, okay, I get it a little more. They're picking the worst of the teams that they can put in. So, I'm all for, again, some people are seeing what I'm talking about, fielding cupcakes. I'm all for that. I would cancel everything that Alabama has a remote chance of losing. ASAP, I'd do it post haste. I'd pay the money if it's a penalty, and then go get me 3 more Mercers on my schedule. I think that's the way you do this. Then we go from there. Because the SEC is tough enough. And I wouldn't, if I'm the SEC, don't ever come at me about expanding to 9 games in the SEC. Don't come at me with that. Don't want to do it at all. Unless ABC is going to get off their pocketbook and pay us a boatload of money, don't you do it. Don't you do it. So, Nick Thornton, let me just chime in with what you have to say here. You keep saying undeserving. How about y'all win y'all's games instead of bashing teams that did? This is why Bama fans suck. Well, we suck enough that you're here listening to me, Nick, so you can suck on out of here if you want to. But what I'm saying is, yeah, we have 2 losses that were bad. Now, they were to 6-6 teams, not the losing teams. That's one thing. One was to a perennial power that is one of the most historic programs in all of college football in Oklahoma. We played like total butt, and it was just awful. And that's why we're in this situation to begin with, 100%. And Vandy is just better this year than they've ever been. We played them right after Georgia. I'm not giving you an excuse. I'm telling you the facts of the game, right? So I'm not saying that our 2 losses, like those 2 losses specifically, were bad. But our other loss was Tennessee, who's in the college football playoff. We also beat Georgia, who's the SEC champ and the number 2 seed. Then let's see. We also beat South Carolina, who is in the discussion. We also beat Missouri, who's ranked. We went and played at Wisconsin, which is, again, a Power 4 team that pretty doggone good for the most part, and historically. SMU played a sack of grits week to week. And then when they finally played somebody that had any sense of an offensive line and defensive line, they lost. And Clemson played with their food the second half of that game and sort of gave them a fighting chance. And the ACC sucks. That whole conference stinks. So the committee was in a bad posture here. They were going to need to set a precedent of, okay, do you get penalized for making your conference game, or do you tell the world don't schedule any hard non-conference games? And considering that Penn State is ranked so highly, Texas is ranked so highly, Indiana is ranked so highly. Frankly, Ohio State's non-conference schedule stunk. And really, Oregon's wasn't great. They had Boise State. Congratulations. They did beat them, and Boise State better this year. But try putting Boise State on there next year without Ashton Jitney. They will be a pushover. So I think that you're telling the world what Alabama's doing in scheduling coming up is scheduling at Florida State next year. I know they stunk this year, but they were undefeated the previous year, and they are historically good. And they also play Wisconsin at home. I think you call both of those off immediately. I would. I mean, I think you say college football and TV, y'all have cost yourselves some money here, trying to do what you think is right. This isn't right. So here we go. They are comparing Alabama and SMU right now. And so for that, hopefully they will give us a little bit of time to, tell everybody about Game Time, which is something I want to do. Game Time is the best. I was really hoping to use Game Time for some tickets. Don't think that'll be happening. I don't know if Alabama goes to Illinois, and if it goes to Orlando and plays Illinois, so be it. I happen to be down there. I'd probably go because it'd be easy to get in and find, and I'd use Game Time to get my tickets because that's the best place to get tickets is Game Time. They are the best. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but Game Time, I've used it for the Major League Baseball. I've used it for NBA basketball, college basketball, pro college football. I've used it for concerts. I've used it for everything. It's fantastic. Game Time is the best. We've been talking about it on this podcast forever. They've been a great, loyal sponsor, and we in turn have tried to use them as many times as possible. So go check out Game Time today, and if your team is lucky enough to get in the college football playoff, man, go use it. All right. Somebody says, where's Jimmy? Jimmy should be here. He did not want his live reaction out there in the universe. And somebody else says the committee has also kind of ruined this thing a little bit with Indiana and Boise State. And I agree. I mean, they play nobody and they get all the benefit of the doubt. The other thing that they need to look at and fix next year, this first round bye for conference champs. I love Arizona State because my son's there. They don't deserve a bye. It's just silly the way they've organized some of this stuff. I do want to see what this guy says right here. Gerald Doring says, look like Florida State last year at SMU. You're going to say, oh, it's Alabama. They deserve to get in. Because that's not at all what I'm saying. Would you stop and listen? What's your name, Gerald? Listen to me for a second. Alabama's strength of schedule is 4 times better than SMU's. That's not hyperbole. Alabama's is ranked 15th and SMU's is 50. 4 times 15 is, 60. 4 times 15 is 60. That is exactly 4 times harder, okay? SMU has not beaten a ranked team. They haven't beaten one. They've played 2, lost 2 of them both. That's what they did. SMU last night looked like hot garbage for most of the game, and until Clemson started playing with their food a little bit, they weren't even in the game. So, again, if we want to just let teams in because it's such a good little story, or do you want to have the best teams available? Let's go get the best teams, man. Let's not do this. Don't make us have to watch SMU get slaughtered at Texas. Don't make us watch SMU have to. SMU was having trouble with the cold weather in Charlotte, and it was about 38. How are they going to do if they go to Notre Dame? I mean, again, they aren't ready for this spotlight. I'm not saying SMU won't eventually be good. They will. I think SMU can build a brand. They got a lot of money, and they'll have some juice. But this SMU team is not ready for the smoke. They can't do this. If I have to come back and eat my words on this after SMU wins the national championship, I will. But I fully believe after what I saw last night, as much trouble as they were having, and again, I've watched them play a few times, they had to scratch, claw, bite to beat Duke. They lost last night to a Clemson team who just got beat at home by South Carolina. That same Clemson team lost by 30 to Georgia. That same Clemson team lost at home to a Louisville team who lost to Stanford. So just quit telling me how much they deserve this. They don't deserve it. I want to know why you picked them out of the available spots. You had the available spots, and those spots were Ole Miss, who decent record, not bad. Alabama, decent record, not bad. Very strong strength of schedule. And by the way, Ole Miss and Alabama have wins over Georgia, who won the SEC. South Carolina, who just beat the ACC champ, probably the hottest team of the bunch, played Alabama very, very close. They did get hammered by Ole Miss. That should be noted. Miami, who also played a pretty lax schedule, but I think they played a better schedule than SMU did. And you could even throw BYU in the mix if you want to, who, by the way, is not bad. Their schedule wasn't awesome either. So you picked the worst one of that group to represent this college football playoff? Stupid. It's just stupid. There's no other way to say it. And anybody who says that they're deserving, I want to know what your definition of deserving is. Because they didn't do anything to get in this thing. Unless you're just saying it's wins and losses. Okay, then from now on, if I'm Alabama, if I'm Georgia, if I'm Ohio State, I do not play any of those teams that are good anymore. I pick a bunch of terrible teams to play every single week unless it's mandated by my conference that I play a conference team that week who happens to be good. And I don't think we as fans want that. I think we as fans want to see, these games like Alabama, Florida State, Wisconsin, Alabama, Notre Dame, Alabama, West Virginia, Alabama, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma State, Boston College. Those games are on the schedule. There's no way I'd keep those games on the schedule if this is the result. No way. It's stupid. And because I thought this was going to be over sooner, I'm going to go ahead and take another break. I thought they'd really sort of get into this. I don't know why. I mean, they're milking this for all the money they can, obviously, just like everything else gets milked for all the money it can. So let's talk about FanDuel. FanDuel. We love FanDuel over here at Locked On Bama. It's awesome. It's the where you want to go for all your ticket stuff. Not your ticket stuff, your betting stuff. Sorry. It's where you want to go for your betting stuff. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join the party. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. It's official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, looks like we are beginning to get started here, but they're for the 1,000th time they are explaining this to us, which is another stupid thing, right? I mean, this is why I don't mind having buys because you have 12 teams, you have to. But why do the conference champs only get buys? I mean, the better teams, the best teams should get the buys. Otherwise, what you do there is you take teams that aren't as good getting buys, and you take teams that are better having to face tougher games in the middle of it. So really, really stupid. I want to see Justin B. Shelton said South Carolina deserves more than SMU. Again, that's what I've been saying all along. If you're ranking the teams that can get in this spot, SMU's the bottom, and you're putting them in. Why? Why are you doing this to all of us? I mean, a Texas-South Carolina game is 100 times better than Southern Miss, Texas. A Texas-Ole Miss, a Texas-Alabama, a Penn State-Alabama, a Notre Dame-Alabama, a Notre Dame-USC, all those things are better. All right, here we go with the rankings. So #1 team is Oregon. That was a no-brainer. Thanks for showing that one first. Let's go ahead and get the easy stuff out of the way. What do y'all say? Oregon, clearly #1. Georgia, clearly #2. They are in. And so 2 teams are in. I guess they're going to do the 4 buys first. Somebody says it'll be a repeat of TCU. I agree. I mean, it's just so dumb that we can't learn from this. So, and Danny Cannell will dance a jig. And if new rule of thumb, if Danny Cannell's for it, y'all ought to all be against it. So here's where it comes down to for conference champions and who should get the bye. Should it be Clemson, Arizona State, or Boise State? It should be Arizona State and Boise State. Clemson is 10-3. They do not deserve this. I'm not necessarily. I would put it. Definitely Arizona State should be in there. Boise State plays in a dump conference that is in there for charity. So if you want to put them out, fine. But I think Boise State would beat Clemson. That's just what I think. So and Clemson at 10-3, so be it. The irony of Dabo Swinney coaching Clemson and then leaving Alabama out is not lost on me. So eventually they're going to put somebody down, and they get Boise State at number 3. Okay. Boise State at number 3, that's fine. It's got to be Arizona State at 4. I mean, it's just so dumb that this Boise State team is at 3. It's just so dumb. We got to change all this. Who cares? And everybody's going to say, they were so happy. They were clapping and high-fiving. It's great. That has nothing to do with what should be done. Please just get past their euphoria and let's move on. So now it's either Arizona State or Clemson. And if they don't put Arizona State, again, the committee is just doing this so wrong. I don't know what to say. And I guess they'll put it up. And it is Arizona State at number 4. Okay. Somebody said, Luke, did you get this shirt from Kalen DeBoer? This shirt is from Home Field. It is a retro shirt. And see, I can wear it here, Ryan Cobb. I can wear this shirt because I'm at home in my basement on a Sunday morning. I'm not coaching the University of Alabama at an away game being viewed by millions of people. There is a monster difference. And if you can't see it, I don't know what to say. So David Cochran says, okay, well, if your only argument is that it's dumb, then you have no argument. I've said a lot of things are dumb, so you're going to be more specific, David. It is dumb to me that Arizona State and Boise State get buys. That is dumb. I don't know where anybody would differentiate with that. I don't know where anybody could say, yeah, Arizona State and Boise State deserve buys this year. See, they only get buys because it is mandated that only conference champs can get buys. And what you forget is, oh, no, teams like Clemson could win their conference championship. Clemson could have gotten a bye. They could have gotten a bye while Texas couldn't have, while Penn State couldn't have, while Notre Dame couldn't have, while Ohio State couldn't have, while even Indiana, for the love of God, couldn't have. It's stupid. That's a stupid rule. It'll get fixed because they're going to see how dumb this is later on. Now, Clemson is the 12 seed. So what happens – this all comes down to, and here's another thing. This gives me a glimmer of hope, even though I think it's already out that I think the cat's out of the bag. Alabama didn't get in. But Clemson's the 12 seed. How on earth? Clemson just beat them. They just beat SMU. They played a tougher schedule. They just beat them just last night. Just happened. And you're going to put SMU at 11? You're going to put SMU in front of them? When SMU hadn't played anybody and they have no ranked wins at all? That's what you're going to do? That's why this is stupid. And again, something has to give. And I think it will. I think the good news is, unfortunately, this will bring about change. And unfortunately, I think Alabama will be the sacrificial lamb for that. Okay. You could also make the argument that South Carolina and Ole Miss and Miami are the sacrificial lambs for this too. I'm with you on that. So they are about to put SMU over Clemson, and I think that is as dumb as you can possibly be as a committee. Rhett Lashley, let me just give you a quote from Rhett Lashley, by the way, for anybody defending SMU. Rhett Lashley last night said, we basically played a playoff game, and we played pretty darn good. You lost. We're talking about the playoffs here. Oh, my God. I mean, this has turned into – now, So now is Clemson traveling to Texas. They just put that up there. That is a good, fun game. SMU is going to be 11. I feel very good about that. I tell you, I hope I'm wrong. I'm telling you, I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I feel like SMU will be 11. Penn State is number 6. Penn State is number 6. So the 11 team will be traveling to Penn State. Now, will that be SMU? Will that be Alabama? And I'm waiting as patiently as y'all. So let's see what happens. I don't know if they're going to put the next one in for Penn State. They may save Alabama SMU drama for the last. I don't know. That would be sort of TV smart, wouldn't it? I really believe SMU is going to go in that spot. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. But Alabama, Penn State in December, who wouldn't want to watch that? SMU, Penn State in December, that's a game only a mother could love. Notre Dame, okay, Notre Dame is at 5. They will not put – they're not going to show who Alabama – or excuse me, Notre Dame is at 7. I said 5. Notre Dame's at 7. And that's going to be interesting. I mean, Clemson. If SMU is in and Clemson's behind them, sweet Mother Earth, they're going to have some explanation to do. It's just stupid. All right, so we're waiting on the 8-9 game, which I think will be Tennessee and Ohio State. And then all we have to do is figure out. Let's see. Surely that's what they're going to show next, but I don't know that. I mean, they really are taking their sweet time here, and I'm sorry it makes it for awkwardness when I'm sitting here just trying to watch this and communicate it. All right, so Ohio State comes in as the 8 seed. I think Tennessee will clearly be the 9. So Tennessee will travel to Ohio State. That is a fun game. That is a beautiful part of the playoffs. That's a game we can all get behind. That's a game we're all for. We like it. Yeah, if you're a Tennessee fan, maybe you think they should have been flip-flop. But I think in the end, you're like, okay, we can get behind that. Jespert says, DeBoer will lose 2 games he's not supposed to every season. We just need to realize we have Sheila 2.0. Get out of here, man. Come on. Don't start that. Don't start that. This is the best first season of an Alabama first coach in God knows how long. Don't start that. And I tell you, one way to solve part of your problem is to get rid of any tough non-conference games we have, which I hope we do if we don't get in this thing. I hope we do. Michelle Riley, give up on Alabama BS 9-3. Why? Clemson's in. Clemson's got 3 losses. Okay. It is Tennessee at number 9, by the way. And so they will be Tennessee, Ohio State. I do like these matchups. Clemson at Texas. Tennessee at Ohio State. Winner plays Oregon in a bowl game. Clemson, Texas. Winner plays Arizona State in a bowl game. That is where things get wonky. I mean, Arizona State should not be the beneficiary of a bye. I think we can all agree with that. If you can't, then I can't. There's no sense in even having a discussion. I think that is so dumb. I don't know what to say. Same thing with Boise State at number 3. They don't deserve a bye. They should be in this first round. And so be it. They get a bye, and here we go. Please come on and show us something. Don't go to commercial break. I mean, am I behind everybody or something? I mean, shouldn't this be taken quicker? So we're waiting to see who Penn State plays at number 6 and Notre Dame plays at number 7. And one of them's going to get Indiana, one of them's going to get SMU/Alabama is the way that this is going to break down. Still waiting. Still waiting. Somebody says, well, Clemson's a conference champion. They play in a crap conference. I don't think that's debatable. I don't. Indiana is in, and Indiana plays Notre Dame. Okay, that's a fun game. And let me tell you, a lot of people didn't think about where South Bend is. I mean, it's obviously in South Bend, Indiana. But I think a lot of people just think South Bend is like this sort of weird place on the map that is stateless. It's sort of like Washington, D.C. But Indiana at Notre Dame is an interesting game. Indiana probably won't be as affected as much by the cold. I think Indiana can win that game. The winner goes on to play Georgia. Georgia has got a cakewalk to the semifinals. Cakewalk. And so be it. They earned it. I'm not complaining about Georgia. Georgia earned it. They played Clemson in the non-con. They played Georgia Tech in the non-con. They played at Bama, at Ole Miss, at Texas. And here we go. It comes down to, is it Alabama or SMU? Alabama's strength of record is 9th. SMU's is 15th. Strength of schedule, 16th to 60th for SMU. Wins, losses were teams over 500. Alabama 5-1. SMU 5-2. Key wins: Georgia and South Carolina, Louisville and Duke. Give me a break. And they're going to put SMU in this thing. And I'm going to lose my mind. As soon as they put SMU in this thing, I want to let y'all know I might go on a rant. Then I'm going to get out, and Jimmy's going to come back with me, okay? So, because we're going to do 2 kind of podcasts just to get all our angst out. But again, it's not criminal. It's not criminal. Alabama did this to themselves. I'm saying that. It's not a criminal thing that Alabama doesn't make it. They did it to themselves. Still waiting. It would be so helpful if they had a little counter about when something's coming. And I'm sorry for the pauses. You do sort of SMU's in. So SMU got in. They'll play Penn State. And that's going to do it for this podcast. Jimmy and I will be back with an actual podcast. I want to be on here like for the real stuff. And we'll go from there. But, hey, appreciate all you guys chiming in. We're not getting out of here because we're so mad. We told y'all last night this would not be criminal if Alabama didn't get in. It isn't criminal. It's a stupid way to do it. But, hey, more power to it. I know everybody's going to love to see SMU and Penn State. All right, Jimmy and I'll be back here very, very shortly. Until then, roll tide.